And you're live.
All right, welcome everybody to Golf Manor's Finance Committee. Today is Monday, October 24th. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Knapp.
Here.
Ms. Snyder.
Here.
All members are present.
That was easy.
All right. Has everyone had a chance to review our agenda for this evening?
I'm working on it.
All right, and I have. So I will make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. No one is registered this evening, so we will go on to approving the minutes from, let's see, 9:28. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And now we're on to new business with Mr. Pidnoff with our September 2022 financial packet.
Okay. So for the month of September, fiscal year 22, the village had a combined bank balance of approximately $3.7 million. Of this amount, approximately $3.6 million can be found in the village's primary checking account, while the balance resides in several village dedicated funds. So that means that most of all of that is a very large number. Most of that is earmarked for different road projects and things which there's very little flexibility for what we can do with that. More information from the village administrator on that. The village had 24 outstanding payments that totaled just north of $9,000. We generated just north of 73,000 tax receipts. That number was $5,000, approximately $5,000 less than September the previous year. But again, the village, same as last month, the village remains a few percentage points ahead in collections of income tax receipts as compared to the previous year. For the year, the village has generated just north of $716,000 in general fund income tax receipts. This number remains just less than $17,000 more than where we were at the same time fiscal year 21. The village already received the second biannual disbursement of real estate taxes from Hamilton County, so there is no change in real estate tax receipts for September. As for village receipts, the village has received 30 payments in September that totaled $210,000 approximately. Of this amount, approximately $1,000 was accounted for in the village's general fund, which is more than receipts of September of fiscal year 21 by the amount of $13,759.82. For the year, the village has collected $376,000, just north of $376,000 more in general fund. For the year, right? The village has collected $376,000 in general fund revenue more than September of fiscal year 21. So doing quite well there. The top 5 payment payees for the month were payroll, because there were 3 payrolls in the month of September. Deer Park Silverton, obviously with our continued service from them, Ohio Police and Fire, Rumpke, and OPERS. As for appropriations, total village general fund spend for the month included 80 cleared payments in the amount of $358,000. This is about $160,000 more than what was spent in fiscal year 21. Increase in spend can be attributed to, again, 3 payroll cycles, a delay in the August payment to the Jefferson Health Plan, C-75 expenses, which was certainly considerable, consultation fees from JMA for the Weehee Road project, and DPS monthly cost again, which was not on the docket last year. Village administration will continue to monitor appropriation spend and make any adjustments deemed necessary.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to accept the report?
Motion to accept.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I do have a question about the STAR fund. Have we moved money over yet? All
We
right.
actually
That's
just
great.
finally were able to accomplish that today
Awesome.
after 5 different phone calls from different people who didn't know where I was, whatever. I spoke to multiple people at Fifth Third, and one person was just like clueless. This person didn't work at. So thankfully, we were able to finish that all today, and $500,000 has been transferred into that fund.
All right. Great. And then, not to put you on the spot on ARPA funding, but what is the amount that we have left again?
I can check that. Give me 1 second.
So that number is not going to be a true number because
Okay.
there are things that have been slotted to come out of that fund.
Okay, so there's some
So
earmarked.
if you'd like to have a report on that, we can do that next month.
Okay,
Yeah, but just as an immediate unencumbered balance, so this is money which has not been spent yet, but does not include any encumbered, so this is unencumbered, but we have not, there are projects like Ron said, that some of this money or a good chunk of this money is earmarked for, but that's just north of $300,000.
okay. And then the deadline to spend those funds is 2024?
I believe
That's correct.
The end of 2024, yeah.
I believe that those are the only questions that I had for our fiscal officer. Do you have any, Mr. Knapp?
No, actually, C-75 cost, we have a final number on that.
So I actually have to confirm that with Carolyn tomorrow. She was not in, she's not in on Fridays and Mondays. And I have been on significant Jewish holidays over the last couple weeks. So my apologies for that. But I should have clear numbers on that tomorrow.
Okay.
But the approximate spend on that was about $20,488, of which $15,000 was budgeted for. We collected $3,300 in donations, and we had a little bit over $3,700 in the recreation funding. So we should be well over. Meaning that should be covered by about $1,000. We should have about $1,000 left. But please don't hold me to this number. Okay, let me confirm.
You said tomorrow, and then you gave me an approximate down to penny, so that was nice.
So the important thing is if anybody has any expense for that, we need them now.
Okay,
So we want to close that project out.
awesome. Well, in that case, I believe this was a very quick meeting. Double check. Yes, the only thing is that I will announce that our next meeting is November 28th.
So there's one other issue that's on the agenda.
Oh, revenue review. Yes.
Yep.
Sorry, revenue review.
Try to slip out there. Go ahead.
So which piece of that were you looking for?
So for the revenue review?
Oh, I'm sorry. You were talking about, excuse me.
Yeah, this is.
I'm sorry. I forgot what you were calling that.
So I asked, so it's nice to have a fresh set of eyes on things. I asked Mr. Pridnoff to do a deep dive into the finances of the DEA program. As you know, we've had there at the year prior to the council, the financing meetings, we were doing special meetings to review spreadsheets and anticipated revenue and those kinds of things. There were some concerns in previous years about how much was going out versus what was coming in. And Eric took a very deep, close look and confirmed some of the numbers that we had been generating for the past couple of years, in addition to looking at projections for this year. And this is his report on that.
So this is very exciting.
Mhm.
Extremely exciting numbers, because up until now, I think it was a little unclear where we were holding with the DEA program. So currently, I mean, if you look back, so we started in the DEA, and please, Chief, correct me if I make any mistakes, if I'm saying any dates. My understanding was that we had joined the DEA program in November of 2018.
Yeah.
Okay, so in November 2018, we had essentially pre-funded the program a full year before seeing any receipts. So by November of 2019, there would have been a basically zero balance. So if you look at am I getting, was it 2018 or 2017 was the beginning of the program?
November of 17, the first
Was the
forfeiture was received, I believe in August of 18.
of 18, right? So the first forfeiture, excuse me, these are the receipts. So we actually started funding the program in 2017. So I'm simplifying this by adding those 2 months from 2017 into the 2018 calculation. But essentially, the yearly calculation for everything, again, cost in 2018 was approximately $125,000, and our receipts, which, like the chief just mentioned, we received $66,000 in that first year. So we did pretty well considering that we pre-funded the program.
Mhm.
2019, you'll notice that our yearly receipts were 131,000. That's fantastic. My understanding, and again, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is that that could be a conservative number. For the future, that number could be significantly higher. 2020, things did slow down a little bit, but not all that much. Went down to 123. 2021 is where we took our major hit. That's after the courts had been closed for the longest. Yeah, absolutely. The courts had been closed for a significant period of time, basically stopping the DEA from prosecuting these cases. The forfeitures, everything was on freeze. So for our officer's salary, while that was happening. So that's where you see in the revenues chart, right, that big, the fourth bar, which goes down big time. And that's where we went back to about negative 59,000 for that year. But this year already, we have collected $179,000. That is as of September. Well, that's actually technically as of today. We haven't received anything since then, but I just updated that. Late September, we received at least another $10,000 or so. And then just giving you a little idea of the projections based on the averages that we have received in every year and up until this point. If we don't receive a penny more for the rest of the year, we're still positive $28,000. But if we go based on, and these are, so the projection from when I did this in September, so maybe that would be a little bit lower, but just around 200, maybe just north of $200,000 for the program. So the program definitely is bringing in much more money at this point than it is costing us.
So what is the low 1 year running projected?
What is that based on?
Yes.
So that's based on the average, the lowest running average of any single year. So if I took, I can pull it up here, but basically if I took where it was in the first year or the first 2 years, first 3 years, first 4 years, right, where I took the longest average where it would be the lowest number. So not including high revenue years, right? If I'm just including low revenue years, that would be the lowest projection based on those on the low averages.
Okay.
But if I include the high averages, which technically the first year kind of skews us because we only received money in the last 3 months of 2018, so that built that a lot higher. For the yearly average, we got like $60,000 in the last 3 months. If we would get $60,000 every 3 months, so then we would have a nice big chunk of change. So it's just hard to project, obviously, but I wanted to kind of give a range. These are the lowest two averages. I had like 3 other averages which went way higher, and I thought they look way too high to print and put my name on them. So I'm willing to say
I don't see your name on this document.
Well, I am the fiscal officer, so but
Find it.
right, exactly. But I felt comfortable in saying this. And again, these are September numbers. Now that we're in October, so I would say the low projection is probably somewhere around 200,000, and the low 1 year running projection is about maybe 15, 220 at highest.
So the key to this is, I think this allows us to continue to support Chief Campbell and wanting to continue this program. It also allows us, having these averages, to take a look at what our anticipated revenue might be. This isn't something that we build our budget on, but it's also helpful for us to know what these numbers are as we're trying to figure out what appropriations look like in the year to come. So a prudent person, I would think, would probably anticipate that we would get as much as 82,000 coming in from the program at this point. And I think it would be, you could take an average, probably the 3 numbers, and do our budgeting from there. But this is the spirit of doing this analysis, is to try and figure out where we need to be on a median on stuff.
Okay. Thank you very much for
My
putting this
pleasure.
together.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So you asked the question, I wanted to just give a sharper answer. So if you look at the lowest projection, that was 2022. So that's based on a monthly average of the lowest single year, which was 2021, where we only received $85,000. So that was putting a monthly average of $7,100, and I projected that out based on the rest of the months. So that was assuming another 3 months For the rest of the year, that's where that, right, that 71 comes from, because we had already had about 159, I think at that point, maybe 100. Oh, it was higher than that, excuse me, because of all the overtime reimbursements. I apologize. There was a lot of pieces that went into here, but essentially that was based on the lowest single year, and then the lowest running was based on the average from the start of the program until 2021.
Okay.
So that's why it's a little bit higher, because the rest of the time it was higher. We generally did better, but again, I wanted to be a little bit more conservative and leave it on the lower end.
Okay, that makes sense. So there, Chief Campbell, for 20, are there cases still pending that we could, from 2018 and 20, like up until now, that
Yeah.
could add to these?
There's 133 cases pending.
Okay.
So one thing I want to just remind everybody of is when the courts were shut down during those periods of time,
Mm-hmm.
the drug enforcement work continued. So
Right.
basically, the cases stacked up in the court. So they were working through all of that. So that casework continued. There's 133 before I came in here today. 133 forfeitures pending. There's 7 that I've talked about are ready to deposit any morning here. And that total of the 7 that are pending will total over $40,000.
Nice.
That's great.
Yeah. So
That really helps this chart.
I'm looking at this chart, I'm like, just wait till we talk about this next time.
Right. Well, that's, again, I wanted to be very conservative right now, but I mean, this is really low numbers compared to what we should be getting with this program.
And I think, the cost benefit is very important, but there, the other benefit is the fentanyl and all the drugs that are being intercepted that aren't winding up here.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we've had overdoses here. We were dealing with somebody that had more needles than I could count on them today. So it's here and we need to keep at it. So this supports that mission, having it basically help fund our activities and help us supplement with equipment, things like that is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And then, getting these funds and putting them to a use that helps everybody is the cherry on top.
Absolutely. Just out of curiosity, and math is not my forte, but would you be able to average how long you think it would be using both the lowest and the low 1 year running projected to where we would break even, given all of the underages the prior years?
So I have done that already, and I
Okay.
think we already broke even this year.
We did,
We
okay.
broke even this
Awesome.
year, yeah. But again, this was requested from the previous chair.
Okay,
So he saw that number and he was like, okay, great, but this is what I want to see in council. So that was,
Okay.
but yeah, we broke even already.
well, I'm gonna send him a side text to let him know.
Sounds good.
And I'm just running quick. Total cost since inception
Mhm,
versus our revenue
mhm.
since inception, and you're saying we're pretty much caught up.
I believe so.
I didn't count your highlighted box column for September 22.
Okay.
I just added the under for the 4 years.
Mhm.
Came up with about 290, 422, and then just took the 1 year low running projected, the last 2 columns, and just added those kind
Yeah.
of roughly. But what's not in here is 2017's initial.
So that's the 2
Investment.
months that I just included in 2018.
Okay.
I just in there as part of the.
But as of today, we're roughly break even, give or take. a couple.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Okay.
It's pretty close.
I leave those 40,000 clear.
Right, exactly. So that's the important thing.
And
to
then
keep in
going
mind.
forward, I
We're
mean,
finally there.
the average caseload is gonna drop from the 130, 140 to something.
This is not slowing down.
Okay.
It is pouring into the community. It is pouring into the community.
Okay. But the reason I was saying that is it's because we had the COVID disruption to the court system. I would imagine they're gonna get through that backlog.
Yeah,
The volume's gonna
but
go to a more normal level,
the
so,
case frequency is increasing.
okay. That's where I was going with that.
Yeah, so the the hunger, the appetite for illegal drugs is not waning at all. You know, it's pouring into the country. Without being too specific, I know there's, you know, a lot of cases right now. In these cases, you know, it's much different from a patrol level where we may make a traffic stop and recover something in the vehicle and try to work the case. But these are way above that. These involve networks. So when a case is closed, the big case that was closed, I mean, it alone resulted in dozens and dozens of individual seizures and properties and businesses and all kinds of things that were used to fund this organization. So you'll get
Most of these organizations, are they domestic to Ohio, or are they countrywide?
international.
International. And it's just gotten worse.
Chief, did you have any additional questions on the analysis that Eric has done?
We you know, worked on it a little bit. I mean, he did the work. I sat in the dummy chair next to him and watched him.
It's the
It's a
helper.
comfortable chair.
Very helpful.
But no, we have a good handle on what we're doing. I actually have an overtime reimbursement I need to submit to Paul's office tomorrow. So those numbers will keep
Awesome.
where they're going.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
All right, am I missing anything else, or can I?
No, I think you've covered
Okay,
it all.
great. All right, and then before we adjourn, I will announce.
Well, and I guess I could mention to this committee real quick here, and I forgot this in my report. You know, we do auction surplus items. We did sell the truck. The truck sold for $9,000. That
Nice.
just went out of here last week. So that's a nice surprise to have that done. We still have the portable speed humps and the skag mower. So
1 second. Oh, we have the skag mower, but it's sold.
it did not sell.
I thought Jim told me it sold.
That's news to me. I didn't realize that.
I thought Jim told me.
So maybe
Okay,
that's
we'll have
happened.
to check this.
Just we talked. But those are still out there right now. That's it.
Great, well, it's nice to clear some room and have some extra cash, so, awesome.
Quick follow-up question, if I may, for the chief. In the DEA program, if, what happens if that officer makes a career change or retires or something? What's our,
We would put somebody else in that position. So
is it a long process, or?
depends. I mean, we gotta have the right individual that fits. There would be some kind of transitional training. We send our people to, drug investigation courses. So, we would see who's interested and see who fits best and make sure they have the training they need, and then we would embed them with the team.
Okay. But there would be a lag period, I would imagine.
No. The way this works is it's shared between the task force. So by simply being a member of the task force, you're entitled to a share.
Okay.
So
So if an officer is replaced,
people sign through from agencies will sometimes repeat or replace people on, depending on the agency and the
Okay.
size. Sometimes they'll replace people every couple of years, but they keep that seat and they just rotate their officer through it.
good to know.
So I got
All right, well then, my announcement is that the Finance Committee meets again on November 28th at 6 PM. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
You're a very efficient bureaucracy.
Let me close this out here.
Much easier when there's only two members who made the motions.
That's all right.
Federal